Hello and welcome to Economics and You. I'm your host, Mr. Samuelson. Today, we're going to be looking at demand elasticity, or what is the response of consumers to changes in price. Let's first look, though, once again at the law of demand. The law of demand is essential for us to understand in any microeconomics conversation. We need to know that when price goes up, quantity demanded goes down. When price goes down, quantity demanded goes up. This is always the case, but how much does it go up? How much does it go down based upon these changes in price? Well, that is determined by the elasticity of the price of the good or of the particular good. That is how much the consumer is going to respond. If the price goes up a little, does demand go down a little or does it go down a lot? Let's find out what determines that. But first, law of demand, you got to know this stuff. So if you don't know it, pause it, take a look, and then move on. All right, elastic demand. Elastic goods, ones with high demand elasticity, are goods in which demand responds quickly and sometimes drastically to price changes. These goods usually have lots of competitors or lots of substitutes. You don't need these goods, and you can very easily find something else that is similar to it. So if the price goes up even a little bit, you're just not going to get the product anymore because you've got other ones available. We can use Coke versus Pepsi. If Coke were to double its price one day, all of a sudden nobody would buy Coke, right? Everybody would just buy Pepsi because you see those two cans on the shelf. One is $1 and one is $2. There's not enough difference in the product to justify that kind of difference in the price. So it's a very elastic demand for that. It changes dramatically based upon price. Luxury items also tend to be highly elastic. Basically, it's anything that you don't need or that has a lot of substitutes out there. You're going to have an elastic demand. Now, inelastic demand is the opposite of that. Inelastic goods are those in which the quantity demanded responds very slowly and generally not very much to changes in price. That is, that people will buy those goods almost regardless of the price that is set on them. Milk here is used as an example. You need milk for the health of growing children, also for a lot of baking and cooking that you might be doing at home. Milk is very inelastic. As the price of milk rises, people still buy milk. Gasoline is another good one too. You got a car, you need to get to work, you need to drive that car, you need to consume gasoline. So when gas prices go up, it's not a very elastic response. People are still buying gasoline when gas prices rise. Now, what determines elasticity? We're going to be looking, we've already talked a little bit about one of these. We're going to be looking at three factors that are the primary determiners of the elasticity of a particular good. That is substitutes, percentage of your budget, so how much of your money is going toward a particular product, and the time a consumer has to adjust to the changes in price. Substitutes are first, substitutes are easiest. The more substitutes which exist, the more elastic the demand for a good is. If you want to buy a product and there are lots and lots and lots of other options for you, well, as soon as the price on one good increases, you just buy the other one. You buy the cheaper one. It is a very elastic good if there are lots of substitutes. However, if there are very few substitutes, the good is inelastic. Looking at gasoline again, if you have a car that takes regular unleaded gasoline, you can't just all of a sudden start putting in E85 ethanol. You can't all of a sudden start putting in diesel. You can't just plug in that combustion engine. None of that is going to work for you. You need that one good. You've already invested in that car, so you're stuck. You still need to get to work. You need to pay the high gas prices. It's very inelastic because there are no substitutes. Again, if there are many substitutes, the elasticity is high. We used Coca-Cola as an example, but even if all sodas were to increase in price, you would have juice options. You would have other options for a beverage, which makes that very elastic. Now, the percentage of your budget is another one. If an item is inexpensive, that is, it doesn't cost you a lot of your money, then you might not even notice the changes in its price. It's such a small percentage of what you pay. Let's take, for example, pepper. Okay, we like to sprinkle a little bit of pepper on our food sometimes. It enhances the flavor. Pepper's not very expensive. So the price could all of a sudden, between last month and this month, jump by 20%. And you might not even notice it, right? You go to the store and uh, a pound of pepper, I don't know what the pound of pepper would cost, but let's say a pound of pepper, which would last you an incredibly long time, is $10. Okay? And a pound of pepper would last you years. Well, you go in the next month and now it's $12. That's not going to affect your purchase of it. It's a huge increase in the price. It's 20%. But it's not going to impact your purchase because $12 for a year's worth of pepper is just not that much. However, if we're looking at something that is a much bigger part of your budget, we're looking at cars, we're looking at housing, we're looking at those big purchases, televisions, widescreen televisions. Those are going to be more inelastic because it's a bigger chunk of your money. Okay, if you want to buy a television, the difference between the price is one month it was $400 and the next is $500. Well, that's a big difference in price, and you're going to feel that more. Housing is going to be even more than that. Now, time to adjust is another important factor in determining elasticity. If you look at things over a long enough period of time, all goods are elastic in price. Sudden changes might not immediately get a response. So if you take gasoline again, because gasoline is an easy example, it's very inelastic in the short term. If you have bought yourself a Hummer, this car right here, which famously guzzles tons of gasoline, you get like 10 miles to the gallon in that thing. You own the Hummer, gas prices are increasing. Well, you still need to buy gas for your Hummer, you still need to go. So you're going to continue to make that gas purchase. However, over time, it becomes more and more elastic because the next time you go to buy a car, you're not going to buy the Hummer. You're going to buy something that's more fuel efficient. You might buy one of these smart cars or an electric plug-in car and demand less and less gas because you're just tired of paying that high price. That is over time going to decrease make an inelastic good slightly more elastic over time. Demand will drop if the price of gas stays up high enough, long enough, because people will look for non-gasoline options, hybrid options, public transit options over time. All right, that was Elasticity of Demand. Thank you for joining me today, and farewell.